Seattle businesses and residents are suing the city for extensive harm for allowing that autonomous zone. What are they calling it now? It was Chaz and it was Chop. A Texas realtor group will no longer use the word master to describe bedrooms due to the association with slavery. You can sleep in it if you're black. You just can't call it a master bedroom. When is this stuff going to stop? In the second hour, we're going to talk to Dr. Carrie Strom. There are reported huge increases in the number of COVID-19 people testing positive. President Trump says this is because more people are being tested. But there appears to be a lot more factors, including an increasing number of people are simply not engaging in social distancing, not wearing the masks. We're going to talk to Dr. Strom about whether or not it is true that states have reopened too soon. That's what some people are saying. The numbers are definitely scary, says Chief Executive of Tucson, Arizona Medical Center. It's a hospital with more than 500 beds that serves patients across southern Arizona. She said, when we started opening up the state, we immediately saw pictures of people packing into bars at night and celebrating. It feels like we did too much too fast, and now we are paying the price. End of quote. California infections are also up 32% in the last 2 weeks, according to the governor. Now, I told you about the piece that was in Outkick. Headline, media ignores 90% coronavirus death collapse in country. It's written a few days ago, and it notes that the deaths from coronavirus declined. From a high of April 21, 2,693 people died. And then on Sunday, 267 people died. That's a 90% drop in deaths in a space of 2 months. Quote, but the media mostly ignored it in favor of a continuing embrace of what he calls fear porn. Also, according to the Wall Street Journal, we talked about this yesterday, when an analysis was done comparing the 42 states that shut down most of their economies to the 8 that did not. Now, to be sure, the 8 that did not were in largely rural states, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Wyoming, Utah. Private employment fell in both sets of states. 13.2% in the states that mostly shut down their economies, 7.8% in those that did not. And per capita coronavirus fatalities in states that stayed open were, on average, 75% lower than those that locked down. Again, among those that locked down included those states with very dense populations, including states with large numbers of people in nursing homes and other healthcare facilities. We're going to talk to Dr. Strom about that as well. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. I'm really interested in whether anybody's had a chance to see my documentary. Uncle Tom will be talking about that later on today. Now, Black Lives Matter. I think he's the head of the Michigan chapter of Black Lives Matter. Who knew they had chapters? They have membership dues, little cards and everything. Get health care. And anyway, he was talking about what will happen to America if he doesn't get what he wants. And you tell me whether he was speaking literally or figuratively.
If this country doesn't give us what we want, then we will burn down this system and replace it. All right. And I could be speaking figuratively. Okay. I could be speaking literally. It's a matter of interpretation.
Honestly, if we don't get what we want, this country has struggled mightily to make up for slavery and for Jim Crow. In so many different ways, we just take them for granted. This last recession, I will say again, it was an affirmative action recession. During the Jimmy Carter administration, Congress passed the Community Reinvestment Act, which encouraged banks to lend to non-traditional borrowers, underrepresented borrowers. You know, people whose credit ratings or overall financial profile did not meet the criteria that banks usually use. And banks said, well, okay, we will consider that. And of course, there was no punishment if they didn't, no reward if they did, so they didn't. Why should they? They'd lose money. Along comes Bill Clinton, and he puts teeth in the Community Reinvestment Act and says to banks, if you don't lend to so-called underrepresented borrowers, don't even think about merging, don't think about acquiring, don't think about putting ATMs in various neighborhoods. We're going to stop you. And through these so-called government-sponsored entities, Freddie and Fannie, government bought these loans. They're taking them off the books of these banks and giving banks the incentive to lend more, to the point where anybody who could fog up a mirror, as I've said many times, was able to get a home. Many people would have been far better off renting, bought a home, lost everything. You don't think that was some form of reparations? What about race-based preferences? Allowing people into colleges and universities with lower test scores and lower grades than other similarly situated people? The idea was to enhance diversity. What happened? It increased dropouts. Because if it is true that you have to have a certain SAT, a certain score in order to survive my university, and I let people in who don't meet that, then why would you be surprised that some of them are going to flunk out? And a disproportionate number did. We still have it. They may lie about it and say we're not doing it, but they, at least in California, have gone to essentially what they call a holistic approach. They kind of look at you and decide, you know, we have enough of this people, enough of that, and we don't have any of this. This will be different. And I know that there are more poor people who are white than poor black people, but black people are disproportionately poor. Percentage of white people who are poor is around 10%, black people are around 20%. As a result, black people are disproportionately benefiting from so-called poverty programs. We've got a bunch of them, state and local. K through 12 education is free. Public school teachers, in fact, working in certain areas, get a sort of a combat pay, get additional money. So what is it other than revenge? White people should just give their property to black people? We're going to go over the demands of what Black Lives Matter want. I'm Larry Elder.
Call in now and join the conversation.